Teaching Aptitude. NTA NET JRF Lecture. By Dr. Anjani Kumar. Concept of teaching. It is realized on all hands that education is important not only for the preservation and transmission of culture but is also an important instrument in all spheres, social, economic, political and vocational. But at present moment, preparation for vocation is taken by many as the fundamental aim of education. Earning of livelihood has become completely dependent upon education. Therefore, education is a complex social, cultural and ethical process designed in a social or cultural context. It is very much related with social structures, cultural environments, values and ideals of people, society and the government. These being dynamic factors because of which the definition of teaching has been changing along with time, place and society. In brief, a proper definition of teaching should I. Identify whether teaching is a process or product, E. Clearly indicate its constitutional factors, E. Reveal objectives, and IV. Say something about its organizational and structural aspect. Definitions. 1. According to Morrison, teaching is a disciplined social process in which teacher influences the behavior of the less experienced pupil and helps him develop according to the needs and ideas of the society. Thus teaching is reduced to what the teacher teaches. 2. Smith states that teaching is an organized system of specific activities aimed to help the learner learn something. Teaching may be carried out in the absence of the teacher. Smith further elaborated the definition. He considered teaching as a tripolar process involving I. Agent or source producing learning which may be human or material, E. A goal or target to be achieved, and E. The intervening variables consisting of learning or teaching situation involving human or physical conditions and instructional methods. 3. Gage defined teaching as personal relationship between the teacher and the taught causing behavior modification. 4. Amidon considered teaching as a process of interaction between the teacher and the taught as a cooperative enterprise, a two-way traffic. This definition considered teaching as a set of properly planned and clearly defined activities undertaken for the achievement of certain objectives. 5. Clark broadened the scope of teaching and included all those organized activities that may result in modifying the behavior of the learner. The nature of teaching. In its broadest sense, teaching is a process that facilitates learning. Teaching is the specialized application of knowledge, skills and attributes designed to provide unique service to meet the educational needs of the individual and of society. The choice of learning activities whereby the goals of education are realized in the educational institution is the responsibility of the teaching profession. In addition to providing students with learning opportunities to meet curriculum outcomes, teaching emphasizes the development of values and guides students in their social relationships. Teachers employ practices that develop positive self-concept in students. Although the work of teachers typically takes place in a classroom setting, the direct interaction between teacher and student is the single most important element in teaching. If we consider its nature, teaching is a dynamic, social and humane. Teaching is not a fundamental concept because it is greatly influenced by social and human factors which are dynamic in themselves. B. Both art and science. Teaching is both art and science. It calls for exercise of talent and creativity, making it an art and involving repertoire of techniques, procedures and skills which can be studied systematically, described and improved, making it science. C. Diverse in application. In application, teaching is of diverse nature. It may have various forms as formal, informal, directional, instructional, formational, training, conditioning, indoctrination, talking, showing, doing, remedial, etc. Characteristics of teaching. Characteristics of teaching may be described as a system of actions. Teaching is a system of actions varied in form and related with content and pupil behavior under the prevailing physical and social conditions. B. A professional activity. It is a professional activity involving teacher and student with a view to the development of student's personality. Professionalism helps students in being regular and making harmony with their objects towards those they are concentrated. Subjected to analysis and assessment. Teaching can be analyzed and assessed, and analysis and assessment provide a feedback for further improvement. B. An interactive process. Teaching is highly dominated by the communication skill. Teaching is an interactive process carried with purpose and objectives. C. A specialized task. It is a specialized task and may be taken as a set of skills for realization of certain objectives. D. A collection of various modes. Teaching is a collection of various modes of itself. It is a broader term. Terms like conditioning, training, instruction, indoctrination denote a kind of teaching. They are a part of teaching but not a synonym with teaching. Objectives of teaching. Major objectives of teaching are as follows. To bring desired changes in pupils. To shape behavior and conduct. Acquisition of knowledge. To improve the learning skills of students. Formation of belief. To provide a social and efficient member to the society. Educational objectives can cover a range of different types of intended learning outcomes. A documentation from a respected higher education funding council lists the following: the acquisition of knowledge, the development of understanding and other general intellectual abilities, the development of conceptual, intellectual and subject-specific skills, the development of generic or transferable skills, and the development of values, of motivation or of attitudes. These can be summarized in another way as follows. Personal transferable skills. Includes interpersonal as well as personal skills. Includes also most, enterprise, competencies. Conceptual knowledge and skills. Also known as methodological. E.g. critical thinking, writing, creativity, hypothesis design and testing, etc. Discipline-related knowledge and skills. Subject knowledge and understanding. Subject-specific skills, e.g. in lab. Attitudinal. Values, motivation and attitudes. There should be an appropriate balance between the for devoted to each of these objectives. Basic requirements of teaching. Teaching process involves following variables. 1. Dependent variable. The student is a dependent variable. He is subjected to changes and developments through the efforts of the teacher and teaching process. In the process of teaching, the dependent variable plays the functional or active part. 2. Independent variable. The teacher is an independent variable. He is responsible for the functioning of students, the dependent variables. He is free to act in the process while students are quite dependent on him. The teacher plans, organizes, leads and controls the process of teaching. Like dependent variables, independent variables also play the functional or active part. 3. Intervening variables. There is need of desirable interaction between the dependent and the independent variable to achieve the goals of teaching. This role is played by the intervening variables. The content of teaching, methods and techniques, tactics and strategies, management of instructional material and teaching environments, etc., are the intervening variables. Basic requirements of teaching are: 1. All the three variables of teaching. 2. Professionalism. 3. Suitable environment. 4. Teacher-student relationship. 5. Students' discipline. 6. Teachers' devotion to teaching, and also on the other hand, students' devotion to learning. Teaching is a profession. Professionalism is a complex and elusive concept. It is dynamic and fluid. The certificated teacher is the essential element in the delivery of instruction to students, regardless of the mode of instruction. A teacher has professional knowledge and skills gained through formal preparation and experience. Teachers provide personal, caring service to students by diagnosing their needs and by planning, selecting and using methods and evaluation procedures designed to promote learning. The processes of teaching include understanding and adhering to legal and legislated frameworks and policies, identifying and responding to student learning needs, providing effective and responsive instruction, assessing and communicating student learning, developing and maintaining a safe, respectful environment conducive to student learning, establishing and maintaining professional relationships, and engaging in reflective professional practice. These processes must be free of discriminatory practices and should contribute to the holistic development of students who are actively engaged, responsible and contributing members of a democratic society. The aim of teaching. There are various modes of teaching. These include conditioning, training, instruction and indoctrination. These are a kind of teaching, or a part of teaching, i.e., whole teaching process include all these, but not a synonym with teaching. Some concepts related to various modes of teaching are as follows. 1. Training helps in shaping conduct and teaching various skills. 2. Distinction between training and education may be made through the evaluation of the degree of intelligent behavior produced by them. 3. Instruction and indoctrination work on a higher footing than conditioning and training as far as the involvement of intellectual powers and modes of teaching are concerned. But they cannot be equated with teaching. 4. Instruction is mainly concerned with the development of knowledge and understanding in an individual, which represents one of many objectives of education and teaching. 5. Teaching is aimed towards shaping a total man, while instruction aims only for the development of intellect and affect the cognitive domain of behavior. Teaching may include or cover instruction. 6. Indoctrination represents a fairly high level of teaching, shaping beliefs and ideals. Indoctrination may mean teaching, but teaching can be done without indoctrination. To summarize, the aims of teaching with respect to its various modes are as follows. Teaching, to bring changes in the behavior of students. Conditioning, to improve the learning skills of students. Training, shaping the behavior and conduct. Instruction, acquisition of knowledge. Indoctrination, formation of belief. 4 modern concepts of teaching. 1. Questioning. It is the most important device of teaching. It occurs in 2 ways. The teacher should ask questions of all types, introductory, developing and recapitulatory. B. In order that the students should be active participants in the lesson, they should be trained to ask questions to the teachers. 2. Discussion. Discussion clears the doubts of the students and enhances their ability of expressing opinions. For this purpose, the class may be divided into groups. The teacher will direct discussion in such a way that pupils will be encouraged to express their opinions freely and independently. After the discussion, the teacher will classify the main points raised and sort them out into some order. 3. Investigation. Investigation may be individual or group and includes the presentation of information by the teacher. Investigation will be followed by expression, which may be written, spoken or visual and concrete. 4. Expression. This is the last step of teaching. It will be in the form of practical activities under 4 headings: A. Passive, B. Active, C. Artistic, D. Organizational activities. Learners' characteristics. I. Habit of readiness. Learners should have habit of readiness. This habit is also known as law of motivation. Woodworth calls it law of mental set. The teacher should arouse the attention and interest of the students by asking suitable questions. Curiosity is indispensable for learning. E. Habit of exercise. Practice makes a man perfect, is a well-known proverb. This habit is also known as law of practice or law of use and disuse. E. Habit of affect. It is also called the law of pleasure and pain or law of satisfaction and annoyance. The activities which are associated with pleasure or satisfaction becomes more effective. Activities which are associated with pain, punishment are not repeated and their strength is decreased. IV. Attitudes and habits. Learners must have good attitudes and habits. These can be formed in children by the efforts of teacher and parents. V. Absence of anger and jealousy among learners. Emotion of anger and jealousy must be removed from the learner's personality, because they weaken the learning abilities. V. Slow beginning and gradual development. They should begin slowly, but the process of development must be continuous and gradual. Factors affecting teaching. Following factors affect teaching. All the 3 variables, i.e., dependent, independent and intervening variables. Teacher-student relationship. Methods of teaching used. Teacher administration relationship. And the social environment. Technology support clear roles and responsibilities factors affecting teaching administrative policies and procedures scheduling teacher selection and training intellectual property faculty workload students role teachers strategic plan teaching style course design motivation strategics role characteristics skills student-teacher relationships learning communication methods of teaching. Teaching is both art and science. It requires a mastermind creativity that the students of different nature and community should be handled carefully. Therefore, it is an art. On the other hand, it calls for exercise of talent and creativity making it and involving repertoire of techniques, procedures and skills which can be studied systematically, described and improved making it science. A teaching method comprises the principles and methods used for instruction. Commonly used teaching methods may include class participation, demonstration, recitation, memorization, or combinations of these. The choice of teaching method or methods to be used depends largely on the information or skill that is being taught, and it may also be influenced by the aptitude and enthusiasm of the students. Methods of instruction. Explaining. Explaining, or lecturing, is the process of teaching by giving spoken explanations of the subject that is to be learned. Lecturing is often accompanied by visual aids to help students visualize an object or problem. Demonstrating. Demonstrating is the process of teaching through examples or experiments. For example, a science teacher may teach an idea by performing an experiment for students. A demonstration may be used to prove a fact through a combination of visual evidence and associated reasoning. Memorization of a list of facts is a detached and impersonal experience, whereas the same information, conveyed through demonstration, becomes personally relatable. Demonstrations help to raise student interest and reinforce memory retention because they provide connections between facts and real-world applications of those facts. Lectures, on the other hand, are often geared more towards factual presentation than connective learning. Collaborating. Collaboration allows students to actively participate in the learning process by talking with each other and listening to other points of view. Collaboration establishes a personal connection between students and the topic of study and it helps students think in a less personally biased way. Group projects and discussions are examples of this teaching method. Teachers may employ collaboration to assess students' abilities to work as a team, leadership skills, or presentation abilities. Learning by teaching. In this teaching method, students assume the role of teacher and teach their peers. Students who teach others as a group or as individuals must study and understand a topic well enough to teach it to their peers. By having students participate in the teaching process, they gain self-confidence and strengthen their speaking and communication skills. This is not a common practice in India but is commonly followed in Western institutions. Successful teaching needs systematic planning and careful execution. Teaching is done in sequential steps. These steps are called the phases. I. Pre-active phase. It is the planning phase. E. Interactive phase. It concerns with the implementation and carrying out what has been planned. Therefore, it is a stage of actual teaching. E. Post-active phase. This phase concerns with the evaluation activities which serves as feedback for improvement. There are 5 steps involved in the method of teaching. 1. Preparation. The preparation stage is intended for the preparation of both the teacher and the pupil. The teacher must know the level of learning of the children. The lesson may be introduced and the pupils' minds will prepare for the new lesson in a variety of ways. The teacher can ask some appropriate questions in the previous lesson in order to connect it with the new lesson. He may discuss some relevant topic in order to bring the new lesson in touch. He can also tell a story to introduce the new topic. There are many ways, thus, which the teacher can utilize for the introduction stage. However, the introduction must necessarily be brief and it must create interest in the pupils and stimulate their curiosity. 2. Presentation. This is the stage where the actual lesson begins. The teacher has to state the aim of teaching the present class. The students can know what they are going to learn about. The children should get themselves ready before they learn a new thing. The teacher's statement of aim helps the children for their readiness. Then the teacher presents the lesson. The materials are carefully and skillfully arranged by the teacher. He may tell some relevant facts and deduce some important principles from the lesson. He has to encourage the students to observe, compare and contrast the facts presented to them. During this stage, whenever necessary, the teacher has to write important facts on the blackboard. The difficult words or concepts have to be classified by him. Use of charts, maps, graphs, diagrams, pictures, film strips, slides, etc. should be made if available for clear understanding of the facts presented to them. The presentation stage must consist of a great deal of mental activity on the part of the pupils. The presentation rests in the principle of selection of the area to be covered. It is not necessary for a teacher to cover up all areas of the courses of studies. He can leave some areas for pupils' own learning outside the school hours. A lesson may be presented either multiple sections or in a consolidated section. The teacher should take care of controlling the classroom situation in such a way that the lesson will be successful. 3. Comparison. This is the third step of learning. The student is given opportunity to compare two sets of facts. The selected facts are held up before the pupils and they are asked to observe them and compare them with another set of facts. Hence the pupils observe and compare what was given to them with the results obtained after going through a certain process. 4. Generalization. By observation and comparison various types of conclusions can be drawn. These are systematized in a particular order to give a generalized truth. For instance, arriving at a formula for finding simple interest, the discovery of a rule in science or framing of a definition in grammar is what is done in the generalization step of a lesson. Whenever the pupils do wrong or do incomplete generalizations, the teachers should help them. The most important thing in this step is that pupils should understand the law or principle that they have discovered. 5. Application. Knowledge loses half its value unless it can be used in the discovery of further facts and their application to new situations. Application is the step in which generalized truth or knowledge obtained in a lesson is applied to life situations. This makes learning meaningful, real and permanent. This application serves the purpose of revision and recapitulation of the principles just learnt and may take a wide variety of form. The children may be tested orally or may be given some practical work to do, or some constructive and creative exercise in which their originality is needed. Methods of teaching. According to different schools of philosophy, there are 4 broad philosophical schools of thought that apply to education today. They are idealism, realism, pragmatism, sometimes called experientialism, and existentialism. These 4 general frameworks provide the root or base from which the various educational philosophies are derived. 2 of these general or world philosophies, idealism and realism, are derived from the ancient Greek philosophers, Plato and Aristotle. 2 are more contemporary, pragmatism and existentialism. Idealism is a philosophical approach that has as its central tenet that ideas are the only true reality, the only thing worth knowing. In a search for truth, beauty, and justice that is enduring and everlasting, the focus is on conscious reasoning in the mind. Plato, father of idealism, espoused this view about 400 years BC, in his famous book, The Republic. Plato believed that there are 2 worlds. The first is the spiritual or mental world, which is eternal, permanent, orderly, regular, and universal. There is also the world of appearance, the world experienced through sight, touch, smell, taste, and sound, that is changing, imperfect, and disorderly. This division is often referred to as the duality of mind and body. Reacting against what he perceived as too much of a focus on the immediacy of the physical and sensory world, Plato described a utopian society in which, education to body and soul all the beauty and perfection of which they are capable, as an ideal. In idealism, the aim of education is to discover and develop each individual's abilities and full moral excellence in order to better serve society. The curricular emphasis is subject matter of mind, literature, history, philosophy, and religion. Teaching methods focus on handling ideas through lecture, discussion, and Socratic dialogue, a method of teaching that uses questioning to help students discover and clarify knowledge. Introspection, intuition, insight, and whole-part logic are used to bring to consciousness the forms or concepts which are latent in the mind. Character is developed through imitating examples and heroes. A fifth school of thought, called scholasticism, is largely applied in Roman Catholic schools in the educational philosophy called Thomism. It combines idealist and realist philosophies in a framework that harmonized the ideas of Aristotle, the realist, with idealist notions of truth. The scholasticism movement encouraged the logical and philosophical study of the beliefs of the Church, legitimizing scientific inquiry within a religious framework. Realism. Realists believe that reality exists independent of the human mind. The ultimate reality is the world of physical objects. The focus is on the body, objects. Truth is objective, what can be observed. Aristotle, a student of Plato who broke with his mentor's idealist philosophy, is called the father of both realism and the scientific method. Aristotle also was the first to teach logic as a formal discipline in order to be able to reason about physical events and aspects. The exercise of rational thought is viewed as the ultimate purpose for humankind. The realist curriculum emphasizes the subject matter of the physical world, particularly science and mathematics. The teacher organizes and presents content systematically within a discipline, demonstrating use of criteria in making decisions. Teaching methods focus on mastery of facts and basic skills through demonstration and recitation. Students must also demonstrate the ability to think critically and scientifically, using observation and experimentation. Curriculum should be scientifically approached, standardized, and distinct discipline-based. Character is developed through training in the rules of conduct. Pragmatism, experientialism. For pragmatists, only those things that are experienced or observed are real. In this late 19th century American philosophy, the focus is on the reality of experience. Unlike the realists and rationalists, pragmatists believe that reality is constantly changing and that we learn best through applying our experiences and thoughts to problems, as they arise. There is no absolute and unchanging truth, but rather, truth is what works. Pragmatism is derived from the teaching of Charles Sanders Peirce, 1839-1914, who believed that thought must produce action, rather than linger in the mind and lead to indecisiveness. John Dewey, 1859-1952, applied pragmatist philosophy in his progressive approaches. He believed that learners must adapt to each other and to their environment. Schools should emphasize the subject matter of social experience. All learning is dependent on the context of place, time, and circumstance. Different cultural and ethnic groups learn to work cooperatively and contribute to a democratic society. The ultimate purpose is the creation of a new social order. Character development is based on making group decisions in light of consequences. For pragmatists, teaching methods focus on hands-on problem solving, experimenting, and projects, often having students work in groups. Curriculum should bring the disciplines together to focus on solving problems in an interdisciplinary way. Rather than passing down organized bodies of knowledge to new learners, pragmatists believe that learners should apply their knowledge to real situations through experimental inquiry. This prepares students for citizenship, daily living, and future careers. Existentialism. The nature of reality for existentialists is subjective, and lies within the individual. The physical world has no inherent meaning outside of human existence. Individual choice and individual standards rather than external standards are central. Existence comes before any definition of what we are. We define ourselves in relationship to that existence by the choices we make. We should not accept anyone else's predetermined philosophical system. Rather, we must take responsibility for deciding who we are. The focus is on freedom, the development of authentic individuals, as we make meaning of our lives. Related to education, the subject matter of existentialist classrooms should be a matter of personal choice. Teachers view the individual as an entity within a social context in which the learner must confront others' views to clarify his or her own. Character development emphasizes individual responsibility for decisions. Real answers come